Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again here. Our next session is going to be on affordable education with AWS for thousands in rural India. Okay? In the next 40 minutes, you will hear from two of our customers, Lead School and NextWave, who have been passionate and delivering affordable education to children in the rural areas of India. I would like to invite Dechaka Punnappa, who has been a trusted advisor from AWS in helping our customers achieve their missions. Dechaka is a client services manager in worldwide public sector focused on empowering students with high quality education across India. Dechaka, take it over.
So the topic for today is affordable education on AWS across rural India. Just to actually set context, yeah, we have a lot of crowd coming in, yeah. So just to set context, we have about 500 million new users who are actually coming online for the first time across rural India through their mobile devices. And these are students who are willing to learn, who are aspirational, and we want to ensure that every student in India, irrespective of where they come from, get equal access to education, and there is no digital divide. So that for us truly is the impact that we would want to create in education. So I just want to introduce the spokesperson for today's session. We have Lead, we have Guru from Lead, we have Navneet from Lead, and we also have Rahul from NextWave. So as part of rural education, there are a lot of things that actually come to our mind. One is, we would want to keep education always accessible, given the challenges of bandwidth, internet access, etc. Accessibility is key. The second thing is, when it comes to rural India, there are students of all age groups, all income groups. We would want to ensure that they have affordable access to this learning. Lastly, we are looking at, not just a one-time learning, but lifelong learning. So that's true impact for us. In terms of how is AWS and the edtechs that are actually building on AWS working on delivering rural education, we have edtechs looking at giving personalized learning recommendations. We have edtechs looking at giving online assessments through advanced AI/ML technologies. We also have edtechs building vernacular-based learning or vernacular-based training across to these rural children. So these are some of the innovations that's actually happening, which is changing the education landscape to address that sort of a scale through automation, through machine learning, AI, ML, etc. So what I want to quickly do is to actually call upon Lead, and I'm so proud to have them today here. I'd like to hand it over to Guru and Navneet from Lead to talk about how they are transforming education across rural. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, Dechaka, for intro. My name is Guru. I work as VP Engineering Lead. So what we're going to do is we'll quickly cover what does Lead do, what's our platform, and what are some of the solution tenet that we follow to serve our customers better. And then at the end, Navneet is going to cover more about how do we do it, more from how do we make it possible. In case you don't know about Lead, we are largest edtech, school edtech brand in India. We are the first school edtech unicorn out of India. So we are present in more than 3,500 schools. When I say the schools use our technology, they are on Lead School technology end to end. There are around 25,000 teachers who use Lead system and 1.4 million students on the platform. And how we were able to achieve this at scale is mainly because of our, the promise that we give to school, which is education outcomes. So we promise and deliver a 2x improvement in teacher skills, 1.5 years of English proficiency and 70% mastery in subjects. So for rural India and I would say aspiring India, which is tier 1, 2, 3 cities, English is is still one of the aspirational subject, and we teach English as a skill than as a subject. So which means how you talk about adaptive learning, we provide that in the classroom, and that's been one of our core offering, and schools go with us mainly because of that. When we talk about solution, so we provide just like any other consumer app you would see, we provide full-fledged learning solution for students. We provide full-blown content and day plan and everything that teacher needs to perform in classroom and deliver in classroom through application for teacher. Now, one of the differentiating factor for us compared to any other B2C brand that you see that targets a similar segment is that learning happens in school, and students go home and they continue what they learned in school, and they are completely connected. Right? So that completes our teaching and learning ecosystem. We also help school owners with good amount of management aspect. We bring in parents as well in terms of understanding what's happening in the school, and at the same time we help schools to run better by offering them help in terms of branding, in terms of admissions and all. So that, I think this gives a good picture of like what we do. So what I'm going to cover next is talk more about what our solution tenets. So now, I mean, even though we talk about internet penetration in India and what has been the landscape change that happened in a couple of years, still expecting every classroom to have an internet connection, high-speed internet connection is still far from reality. So one of the solution tenets that we follow is we build for offline. Right? We build for offline consumption, but at the same time we make sure they are aware of internet. The moment they get our solution connect to internet, they work like any other internet-aware products. So now the challenge that we also get is moment the teachers, they complete their class, go back to their their teacher's room, it immediately connects to internet, exchanges data. So we see huge spike in our traffic moment post school hours. So this is the good amount of data exchange that's happening between what happened in the classroom to comes back to server, or if there is any input that needs to go back to teacher, all those data exchange that happens at a scale. Now we are no longer in a state where bare minimum working product is acceptable, right? Everyone, even though it works with low internet connection, expectation is it need to be like Dunzo, or it needs to work like top-notch B2C products. So so to do that, you need good amount of data to capture, and you bring in personalization, you bring in personalized remediation. So to do all these things, we capture good amount of data and then send it back to our backend systems, crunch them, and give timely remedials. Now, because we cater to tier 2, 3, and 4 cities, making sure they don't run into technology problems and help them when they run into technology problem is a key thing. I mean, you can't really send someone to school and solve problems. So what we also do is we make sure we have good amount of diagnostic data. We capture what happened in the school, what happened with the device, how did their teacher device or school device, how did it perform, and capture those data. So moment we, our customer support get a call, or somebody proactively looks at some mismatch in the data, they have good amount of insight to go back and troubleshoot those problems. So now, we talked about low internet and or limited internet connection, but I think we are talking about these kids who have been watching Coco Melon or Choo Choo TV with like 4K resolution at home, and when they come to school, that's the kind of quality that we need to match, right? So, be it audio visuals, presentations, or AR content. So all of these things, we need to make sure they are delivered at a high quality. So one of the implementation aspect that we have is we place an edge device at school, which is which helps in rapid connection back to our servers, exchanges data. It acts like an extended CDN with some amount of computational power, which helps us. Moment teacher connects to this device, it exchanges huge amount of data, and then we push all the data that is needed for teachers. At the same time, be it if a teacher is consuming the content in the classroom versus student consuming that at home, the quality of the content, it needs to be different, right? So, when teacher is using on a TV, it's a different resolution. When student consuming it, it's different. So, we built a huge pipeline of which is specific to each of the content. So, when it comes to media, we use media convert to, convert into various format and deliver for each of the aspect. So, be it presentations, AR content, interactive videos. So all these content are delivered in an optimized way, so that there is no repetition of data that is going in. We optimize for packaging and delivering to school, so that we do less data transfer, but deliver best results. Right? So another thing that we also do is take the feedback. So for example, if teachers spend good amount of time to open certain things in the classroom, right? So, if you have visited, in the classroom recently, or any of you have been there and, observed the classroom, if a teacher doesn't look at you for like 10 seconds, there are two kids who are throwing eraser, or somebody, there is a fight already starting. So, it's very important that technology works right then and there, right? So, making sure we capture telemetry and send it back, so that if there is any kind of disturbance teacher had in terms of opening a video or interactive content, we need to know that and correct those content. So this is another thing that we've been actively doing, and this has been we were able to do this because of good amount of learning that we've been had running in the classroom. Now one of the thing that we also do is we cater to, we provide some of the content that is generally you wouldn't get at tier 2, tier 3 cities, which is we bring in celebrities, expert speakers, and deliver master classes. So we had Madhavan delivering a master class on confident speaking. We had Chetan Bhagat talking about story writing. So we bring in celebrities to talk about and give these courses. Now, in a B2C environment, what happens is if I have an install base of say 1 million, my active user is not really, maybe like 20%, 30%, depending on how active it is. Whereas in our case, there are 1.4 million students on lead. You would see good number of people coming and attending that course. And we know about punctuality, right? So if the session is starting at 9 in the morning, 8:55 you have 5,000 users. 9 o'clock, 8:59, 55 seconds you have 5,000 users, and at 9 o'clock you have 100K users all of a sudden. So this is the kind of scale that we cater to, and preparing for that is has been one of the key challenges, and solving for these kind of spike loads, be it for these kind of courses or even for some of the online classes. Whenever we were switching from because of pandemic, we went online classes. So there also it's a similar challenge. Right? You have to have your classes starting on time. The next thing that comes is the reliability, right? So a dog ate my homework cannot be a reason for not submitting a homework. So if a student is uploading their homework, or teacher is entering a mark, or somebody giving their online assessment, you can't really miss one data point. Like, think about it. Like, you have 30 members in the class, and you have mark only for 29, right? Like, does not work. So having a reliable system which scales, so good amount of queuing of data, good amount of good principles around building distributed system has been core solution tenets we've been following. And other thing, we talked about online classes. We thought, once the pandemic is over, even though there is an adoption of technology, I think switching between online and offline wouldn't happen much. But what we realized is, recently there was flood in AP, and immediately schools switched from, okay, next 2 days we're going to continue online, and then they came back offline. So giving a so when you talk about system, how you build for offline versus how you build for online, they're completely different. Now, you're talking about switching immediately to an offline mode and coming back online and then again going back to offline. So in terms of how your system needs to be readied for both of the things and have the system that are in synchronization every time has been another challenge that we've been dealing with. Now, we talked about making it affordable, but that doesn't mean that we don't use latest technology or the technology that we see as as an expensive technology, right? So what we use good amount of ML solutions around text track recognition and all to capture correct homework or do the data entry part. But how we do it, and we use serverless framework, we use managed services, which generally we see it as an expensive services, right? But but for us, what is really important is push the product out, get immediate feedback, and also make it faster time to market, right? Now another, I think Navneet is going to talk more about it. But when we to make it affordable in the classroom, what we need to look at is, even before we think about a feature, we need to think about, hey, what is it going to cost? Does it actually, how will it contribute to my contribution margin, right? That's one core thing that we need to look at even before we look at, hey, this is the architecture now. If I implement this, how is it going to work, right? So this has been another thing that we've been following, where we are able to go deeper into every feature and say, how this is going to work out. So Navneet is going to talk more about how we do it on AWS.
Thanks, Guru. So Guru just mentioned how we calculate cost per student for any feature before building it. But that's not where our cost optimization efforts stop. We continue taking cost optimization measures throughout our journey. So some of those measures I'm going to talk about. We project our usage and spends for a couple of years, and that helps us in choosing best billing models and right sizing our commitments for private pricing. That helps us in maximizing our savings. Then we tag all our AWS resources across using multiple attributes like features, teams, environments, service name, etc. By this, we are easily able to get the cost for any specific feature, and it helps us in delivering best-in-class solutions at scale and at an affordable price. To ensure a sustainable unit economy, we make sure that we are using the most optimized data channel for any kind of data transfers. So in one of our use cases, we were downloading a lot of content through S3, which was costing us a lot. So by changing the workflow to download the content through CDN CloudFront, it helped us save almost 85% of our cost. So we keep on tracking all these things in Cost Explorer, and I mean keep on taking necessary changes. And all of this is obviously a team effort. Our CloudOps team at Lead finds out services or areas where the cost is really too high or has gone up in recent months. They share their findings with the AWS team, our architects, and our platform teams. who in turn help us in optimizing the cost by suggesting or making those changes. So it has been an incredible journey with AWS, and last few months at Lead have been exhilarating. We not only pushed some great features in the past few months, but also worked a lot on the cost optimization area. If you want to know more about it, you can get in touch. You can get in touch with us offline, or Rachika can help you connect with us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call upon Rahul from NextWave to talk about how is NextWave transforming education in rural India. Over to you, Rahul.
Hi, everyone. I am Rahul Attuluri, co-founder and CEO at NextWave. So I worked with Amazon in the past as a software developer, and I have been using AWS for more than 10 years now. So we at NextWave are solving the problem of demand-supply gap of software development talent that is needed for the country. So the way we have figured out to solve this problem is that only way we have figured out is that you need to upskill students who are not just for computer science students, but even you need to upskill non-computer science students also to become software developers. And what it means that when we look into the persona of the students, so we have students, most of the students coming in from tier 2, 3, 4 colleges, and more than 80% of the students coming in from small towns of the country. And if you were to look into the learning habits of the student, just a second. So if you were to look into the learning habits of the student, while the students have gone to English medium schools right from the childhood, the primary mode of communication that they have been habituated to in the schools is that native language plus English. While the schools tend to be, English medium schools, but the way the teacher converses with them, or in the college, the way lecturers have been conversing with them is a mix of native language plus English. And whilst the students are coming to the online world to kind of pick up the skills, all they could find is online English content. So which is acting as a barrier for them to kind of build the skills. So one of the things that we did with NextWave is that we have made vernacular training available for tech careers. Thereby we are unbundling both tech skills and the language skills. While me coming from Hyderabad, while I can enjoy a lot of like Telugu movies and still be a software developer, or still be kind of adding value to the tech, why is it that I should just language act as a barrier for me to learning? While the barrier is not there for entertainment, why do we need to put the barrier for learning has been our thought process. And we have released this solution for college students coming in from tier 2, 3, 4 backgrounds. And so and we have also built something called as University on the Cloud. So while the students still attend the colleges, their traditional colleges, beyond the school time, so these students also, like a coaching for competitive examinations, these students also prepare themselves to gear themselves up for the software careers. So we have built something like a University on the Cloud sort of a solution, where we have professionals who are right now working in the industry, be it like professionals, tech professionals who are working at companies like Amazon, Google, or the likes of the companies. So they kind of create the curriculum, they kind of deliver the content to the students in the vernacular format. So that way we have kind of broken the barriers with respect to building the skills for students coming in from these rural backgrounds. And over the last 15 months, we at NextWave have been fortunate to kind of deliver more than 5,000 plus software professionals to more than 800 plus companies. And along the way, we were also being able to create grassroots level impact. So we have successful stories of student like Shobha Katuru, who has been the first woman from her village to make it to an IT job. We have also seen student Sheikh Abdul, who has been working as a delivery boy with Swiggy, who has picked up the right set of skills with us and who has made it to software development job. So likewise, I think we have been fortunate to be part of their successful journeys in terms of like making it to the software development jobs. And if we were to just delve a level deep into, what does the persona of a student coming in from a tier 2, 3, 4 background look like? So I think one of the key thing is that, the kind of device, while today having a device is pretty normal, the kind of device is something, the kind of constraints around the device, be it in terms of the RAM, or be it in terms of like the CPU, and be it in terms of like, even if they have the laptop also, the kind of configuration is something, is something that is very different from the people from the urban parts of the country. And while Jio has solved pretty much in terms of problems in terms of having internet access across the country, one of the key challenges that still remains is in terms of it's not as good as like a broadband sort of an speed, or it's the data limits are not as good as like a broadband speeds. So that's also one of the challenges that we need to kind of take care while we are building a solution for students coming in from these backgrounds. And obviously the language part. So unless or otherwise you solve for the language part, I think there is no means by which, while the good part is like, India is becoming digital, but the only way we would be able to kind of take the leverage of this talent to kind of, make it to the workforce is there should be some means to kind of, simplify for the language problems that exist for the students coming in from this background. So with this context, I think, we have built our solution, and I think apart from the outcomes that we have been delivered, so in terms of the engagement also, I think, so far we have seen more than 500 million minutes of, learning being spent on our platform, and more than 1.5 crore of, we have this concept of learning sets. Each of this learning set is like 45 minutes of duration, and we have seen like 1.5 crore of learning sets completed by the students. And coming to the the platform which is at the back end, which is solving the purpose. So while we as an early stage startup, so we are keen about like effectively utilizing the resources that we have at our hand, be it the developer talent. So at one end, we are very clearly aware of the crunch of tech talent that is available in the market, and the cost that you need to kind of incur, that will be incurred to kind of acquire the talent as well as retain the talent. So we have two objectives when we started NextWave with respect to the tech team. So one is, how do we effectively utilize our tech team to make sure that they are spending a lot of their time on crafting delightful learning experiences for our student. And second is, we need to figure out a way to offload the infrastructure scaling part or the infrastructure maintenance part as much as possible. At the end of the day, the developer's time spent in terms of crafting the experience is going to kind of create value for our students. And I think having coming from the background of working with Amazon as well as being an AWS user for quite some time, so it's a natural to think about like using AWS for the problem, because I think in a way AWS has commoditized a lot of things. So when I started my journey with AWS, building a scalable architecture is something that you need to kind of have some expertise that you need to build around, and there are a lot of continuous learning that needs to happen, and you need to have a dedicated team to ensure that your servers are always up and scaling. While AWS takes care of a lot of things, still there are a lot of things that you need to take care. But with the serverless architecture that AWS has come up with, so it's just like you pick the AWS Lambda, you put your code, and that's it. So if 1,000 users come at a point of time, AWS can take care of that. Or if 10,000 users come, it will take care. So all you need to do is like just switch the buttons on Lambda, and that's it. It will be available at the whatever scale that you need. So there is no need of having a lot of developer effort in terms of like ensuring that your architecture is scalable, or your architecture or your application is secure, or is your application maintainable. So you need not worry about a lot of this stuff. So if you look at the architecture, I think we have been heavily reliant on serverless technologies to kind of deliver our solution. So be it in terms of Amazon API gateway, so which is primarily acting as a reverse proxy for the APIs, Again, it's also a serverless solution where you need not bother much about the amount of traffic that is going to come to your application. So, and you have Amazon DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL database, and again, that's also perfectly designed for scale. So all you need to do is design your application, and you can kind of ensure that with the certain AWS configuration, you can be assured that the scale will be taken care by Amazon Web Services, which is a great relief for any developer, because they like to spend in terms of solving the business problems, creating value for your customers. And that can truly happen when you can truly offload this, the heavy lifting of scaling the infrastructure, or ensuring the security of your application and all that stuff. And more importantly, one of the big advantages that we are, we take out of from AWS is that all of the serverless technology, or most of them, all you need to do is pay as you go sort of a model. So if the students are not using your platform during the night, then you need not pay anything. If students are, if there is a sudden spike in the traffic, only you pay for the amount of traffic that you use. So at an early stage, you need not even, because the developer costs are so high that you're okay with doing some add-on, a small amount of add-on cost for your infrastructure. And you can make sure that you can happily sleep, or your developers can happily sleep during the night, irrespective of the day, without bothering about the scale. And one other use case where we have been using AWS is that when students come from diverse backgrounds, and with different types of screens, as well as different types of bandwidths that are available. So it also, I think I have been listening to few other speakers while they were speaking. I think the challenges have been same. So everybody expects the quality of the content, or the they do not expect lag to be there while a video is being delivered to them. So for that to happen, you need to ensure that your video is kind of being adapted to the device, being adapted to the kind of bandwidth that the students are having at that point in time. So for that to happen, so typically we follow the workflow of once a session gets recorded, so we upload it to S3, and we have a trigger for AWS Lambda, which in turn will kind of push the video to media convert, to make sure that we have different videos with different resolutions and different bit rates, which are readily available for the students. And again, that would be delivered to through CloudFront, where the students can consume the content in different languages, irrespective of the devices and the bandwidth that they have. So I think all in all, I would say that our experience with AWS has been incredible in terms of making sure that in terms of offloading the heavy lifting part of scaling, or in terms of offloading the security aspects to a larger extent. I think that way we are able to kind of save on the developer effort. In turn, we can pass it on to our students to make that make sure that our program is affordable for them. Thank you. So in case if you have any questions, you can just drop me an email. Thank you so much.